Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of Fraggle Talk Back to the Rock, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. This is usually the podcast where we talk about Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock, along with all the talented folks who help put the show together. I am your host, silly creature Joe Hennis. This month, the Jim Henson Company is sending the Fraggles into the real world with Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock Live. The tour, which kicks off on January 18th, zigzags across the United States and Canada over the course of 4 months, and hopefully coming to a town near you. Joining me to talk about this event series is the show's writer, director, choreographer, and voice actor, John Tartaglia. Hello, John.
Hi, Joe. Hi, everybody.
So excited to talk to you about this. It's such a treat to get to geek out about something Fraggly beyond just the show. And I'm sure that everyone has a ton of questions about what Fraggle Rock Live is going to entail. So, first of all, let's start with the big question, which is, what is Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock Live?
It is a live experience with the Fraggles. It's kind of, I would say it's in the vein of those classic, these characters are going on tour stage shows. And the real hope was to, for the first time in 40-something years, bring these characters into, the hometowns of kids and parents and all Fraggle fans. It was amazing to me that in 40-something years of Fraggle love that has existed, that they'd never gone on tour before, and so it seemed like the perfect time to do this with Back to the Rock in its second season, and all the love we've gotten for that. And then now there's this brand new generation of kids that are growing up with Fraggle Rock, in addition to all of us fans. So it just felt like the right time to finally do this.
You're right. It's an interesting thing that there's been obviously Sesame Street Live and even the Muppet Show Live, way back in the day, but never a Fraggle Rock show. That's pretty exciting that you get to be like the first ones to really bring that to life.
Yeah, I think, it's in talking to like Karen Pearl and folks like that, I think that there was a real want originally to, keep the lore as much as possible, and not put the Fraggles out on the road in our world. But I think now people really want to connect with these characters. They really want to see them. They really want to meet them. And I think with the new series, it's kind of got even more of for our youngest audience members. It's got a real need to connect with these characters and to get to hug Red Fraggle and get to wave to Moki and get to laugh along with Wembley live. And I think also right now we all need live theater. We need these live experiences for community and connection, which is also what the show is all about. So it just kind of felt like the perfect opportunity to bring Fraggle fans together, new and old, and to really celebrate the incredible music in the show, and the fact that the Fraggles work really well. They've always been so comedy jam packed, and I feel like getting to laugh together in the theater at the Fraggles with them it's a very special thing that we think we all kind of need in 2025.
Oh my God, I couldn't agree more. I mean, just generally speaking, we need more Fraggles in 2025. But you're right.
Yes, I agree.
Getting to see them live, not just streaming or on DVD or Blu-ray. It's such a treat to get to kind of evolve our love of the Fraggles this year in that way. What was the impetus for this idea? Who started the whole like, hey, maybe we should do a live show?
Well, this is going to shock you, Joe, but I am a squeaky wheel sometimes. And when I kind of took on the position of creative supervisor for Fraggle, obviously having a theater background, theater is always like one of the first things in my brain when I wake up in the morning. And it just felt like, wait a minute, this is something that has never been done before. And this is the perfect show to do it with. And, now we have all this beautiful music from Harvey Mason Jr. and his team, these reimaginings of the classic songs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just got really excited at the idea of being able, I think maybe it was like fulfilling the 7-year-old fan in my heart as a kid. Like I would have lost my mind when I became a fan of the Fraggle Rock originally, to go and see the Fraggles live and meet the Fraggles and see them in person. So I think it was kind of that little Johnny was kind of driving this the entire time. But I think as soon as it got brought up at the company and a way to kind of, expand the franchise and get it out there, everyone got really excited and was like, yeah, we should do that. That's never happened before.
It's great. And as the writer of the special, excuse me, of the live show, is there anything that you could tell us about the story?
Well, we talked a lot about like what we wanted it to be, and is it a concert of Fraggle, just Fraggle songs? Is it, taking a familiar story and just, expanding it for the stage? And the more we thought about it, it was like, let's make this like, an original story unique to Fraggle Rock, because that's the beautiful thing about Fraggle Rock is around, down the tunnel around the corner is another adventure, another cave to explore. And let's kind of add to the lore of Fraggle Rock. So we really go on an adventure in the way that you would in the series, where there's brand new creatures to meet and familiar music, and you're going to get your dose of gorgs and doozers, and maybe even the trash heap might make an appearance,
Okay.
and lots of other fun surprises. But we're going to new locations, new caves, places we've never been before, but you'll also get to see the Great Hall. You'll get to see the things that you love about the show, but with some new experiences. So in my brain, it's kind of like a live episode of the show, I guess is how I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect too, because I think that's what people want. They want to see the thing that they already love, just kind of expanded in front of them. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of things that they love that are expanded, let's talk about these costumes. The costumes look
Yes.
incredible. We got a tease of them. These uh, amazing live body Fraggle performers. Why did you choose to go with costumes and not puppets?
Well, we went back and forth on that too. And I think what we realized was, if we're going to translate this from television to live theater, you want to utilize what works best in a live space. And the opportunity for these Fraggles to really dance and really move. And, when you get to see the Fraggles full body on camera, it's, three or four puppeteers and we're in blue screen and there's, we can do a lot, but there's only so much we can do. You can't really get the Fraggles to fully turn around or to do everything you want them to do. And when you have a live performer in a costume, they can do anything and go everywhere. And I think also it's been proven by Sesame Street Live and Muppet Show Live, like you said, that like that's such a really successful way to translate these characters. And then we thought, okay, what's really exciting about that is then you could get to upscale everything, which also makes it very theatrical. So the Doozers, which have always existed as these little 6-inch animatronic beautiful puppets, now we get to move them up to kind of Fraggle scale, hand puppet size. And then you get to take the Gorgs, who have always been a kind of walk around costume size in real life, even though they're supposed to be like 18 feet tall. You get to expand them to how do they work in this world? So it just kind of started to get really exciting to think about, when you're sitting in the theater and you're watching the show and the Fraggles are now setting kind of the scale of the world, everything else gets to adjust around that. And you get to kind of really make everything super theatrical.
Yeah, and speaking as someone who has seen live puppetry a lot in theater, especially things like the Muppets live at the Hollywood Bowl or the Carnegie Hall show that you were involved with, when you're sitting up in the balcony, especially some of the smaller characters, like you're squinting, like I think that's supposed to be Pepe out there, but how would you know? And this way,
How
it's
would
like
you
great.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, they're right in front of you. It doesn't matter if you're, where your seat is. You're gonna get that great experience without feeling like like it's not enough.
Yeah, and I think it also just from a it opens up from a directing point of view. It opens up the world because we're not limited to having to always hide a puppeteer behind something or having to always justify a puppeteer. It's like these characters can literally jump and spin and twirl and do fancy combinations and run and do anything we need them to do without any physical limitations, which is really exciting.
Actually, speaking of physical limitations, like have there been some with those? Because I mean, I know they're basically they look like they're basically big bodysuits with the puppet head, but have there been other things that you can't do with them because they're big Fraggle costumes?
Well, I think it's less things you can do and more just adapting to what they do best, right? So, I mean, they have lip sync, they have beautiful mechanized mouths that, again, in the vein of like a Sesame Street Live, which is such a beautiful way to bring the characters to life in that way. So you still get that puppety feel in the heads, but you have a dancer in there performing that. I think, obviously vision is a thing, right? You have to be really cognizant of like that everyone can see safely. So we have a lot of conversations about, how are you seeing? And, do you need this piece of glow tape to be bigger so you can really see that mark when the lighting is a certain way? So those limitations come up, but, they don't feel so much as like limitations and more just adjustments because again, if they were puppets, I would be limited in a different way, right?
Sure.
So it's just kind of, I guess it's like anything. It's like figuring out what are the, how does this make it easier and how does this make it more difficult, and just finding that healthy in between that you go back and forth with.
As the choreographer, did you feel it necessary to get yourself into one of the costumes just to feel it for yourself?
Well, that's what I feel unique about. I can contribute to the show because I was a character costume performer. I used to work at Sesame Place when I was younger. So for 4 years, I was in those costumes, and like I know them very well. I know what it feels like to dance a full out number and try to get your breath back. I know how hot it can be. I know how hard it is to see, and so I think that has allowed me to create something that I would feel okay doing. You know what I mean? And ask the performers. I know that if I was in a costume, I would be okay doing this, so I feel okay asking you that. But I can also relate to, when everyone was learning the show, like how difficult it can be to. It's hard enough to learn a show as a performer. It's add on top of that the fact that you're wearing these costumes and you have to see, your vision's limited, and you have to think about, moving your hand to make the mouth move on all the syllables, like all those extra things that we take for granted when we see one of these shows. But yeah, having that experience when I was younger, I think kind of, I had no idea that one day I'd be doing this, but I think it prepared me to be able to do this, hopefully in a way that feels right for the performers.
And again, as the choreographer, I know that you did a lot of the choreography, if not almost all of it, on the Back to the Rock show. Was it a challenge to kind of update the way that the Fraggles move from puppet to human performers? Or was it basically just like, nope, they're two different animals. I could do choreography for both. Let's just change it up. What was that like for you?
It's so funny because I think in some ways there's pluses and minuses on both sides, right? Like, with puppets, you can do sillier things like pop in and out instantly. And you can do these really slick movements that are really strong because your hand can move much quicker than your full body can. And, even just doing head motions, right? Like with a puppet, it's just your wrist, you know what I mean? And so those those movements don't necessarily translate well to human bodies that have to think about gravity, and you can't pop in and out of nowhere. You need to hide your body somewhere, and that you can't just pop in upside down, things that we love to do on the show all the time. So it was really just kind of saying, what can this version of the Fraggles do the best, and what are some things we can take so that the character costume performers, they're all so dedicated, they love the show so much, they love the original series and Back to the Rock, and they've just kind of immersed themselves into watching all the episodes. And they've been really great about taking little things that we do with the characters on the TV show and try to translate that to the costumes. So, like Boober crossing his arms on the series, or one of the iconic kind of Boober photo puppet poses where he's got his arms behind his back and he's looking down at his foot. Like,
Yeah,
our performer has been putting that into the show. And like
cool. Yeah,
the person who performs Gobo is like finding little things I do with Gobo when he's listening and putting those in. And, one of Moki's kind of iconic dance moves that Donna Kimball does with the character in Back to the Rock, we put into the show. So we're trying to find ways to like really honor what you're familiar with. And then you're like, oh, but in this version, you get to see like all the characters high kick over their heads, and you get to see, them do like triple turns and things that we could never do on the series, easily. So it's kind of finding enough familiarity that the characters feel familiar in their physicality, but then kind of expanding what they can do in this version of them.
that's great. And then you don't have to worry about things like, hiring actors who can defy gravity because there's so much more that
Exactly,
you could
exactly.
do.
Believe
Yeah.
me, if we could have put them upside down on stage, I would have figured out a way. But that's maybe down the line or
Yeah,
number
yeah, yeah.
five.
The next show, we'll get them up in the
Yeah,
rafters. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Uh,
exactly.
so you mentioned we're going to be seeing the Fraggle Five. We're going to see the Doozers. We're going to see Junior Gorg. We're going to hopefully see the Trash Heap. Are we going to be seeing any other Fraggle characters like Traveling Mats or Pogie or anyone else from the show?
You are. I
Ooh,
can't
all
give
right.
it too much away, but we really tried to make it feel like a full episode, so you get all the elements you love of a television episode of the show, but then also like little cameos, little surprises. You know, you should be. I would say that if you're a Fraggle fan, hopefully you'll walk away feeling like you got to see all your friends live on stage in some way or another.
That's great. And then what about Doc and Sprocket? Did they make the cut for the stage show?
Um, I'll just say there's a tribute to them.
Oh, great.
How about that?
That's totally fair. Yes. It would be weird to have like a human on stage with the Fraggles, so I get that. Yeah. I would love to see Lily Cooper do a live Fraggle Rock show. So maybe the next one we'll get her in there.
You know what? I mean, she's one of the busiest people on Broadway, and you know, as you know, is in demand. So listen, if we can get her to come out with the Fraggles, then maybe we'll do like a live, you know, Fraggle music tour with Lily Cooper as the lead vocalist. I would go see that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I don't know why you're not working on it. Why are you wasting time talking to me? Go plan that.
What do you think I'm doing after this? Come on.
It sounds like also, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're also kind of putting in some Easter eggs for the fans. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, there's some references in the show and some little, if you keep your eyes open, you'll see certain things. And, you know, certainly there's some wonderful, you know, Boober ends up being, in my opinion, like, he's such a comedy goldmine in the show because he's so useful for like, you know, references either out to the audience or kind of asides. You know, because we break the fourth wall in this a little bit more than we do on the television series. So, and Dave, of course, Dave Goelz is the most brilliant, you know, uh, character actor ever, performer ever. So he threw in a lot of really fun things. And, you know, if you're a Henson fan, there's one little nod to you in the show. So, yeah, we really wanted it to be a celebration. One of the things Nicole and I talked a lot about was, you know, this is not only a celebration of Fraggle Rock, it's also a celebration of Jim Henson and puppetry, you know, so you're getting to see different kinds of puppetry. You're getting to, you know, to really live in in a Jim Henson world, kind of the best, right, of what Jim did with great music and great characters and great lore and you know magical realms. I mean, Fraggle Rock kind of covers all of that, so we felt like it was an opportunity to also just really make it a Henson puppety magical show.
I'm glad to hear that too, because I think one concern that a lot of fans have is, you know, it looks like it's a, you know, it is an all ages show, but it looks like it's a show mainly for the younger audiences, which is fine. You know, we understand, you know, who the demographic is. But there's a lot of us who are adult fans, and especially a lot of adult fans who don't have kids, who are going to be interested in seeing the show, and you know, want to make sure that it's not just like, well, you have to put yourself in the, you know, the 5-year-old's shoes. It's like, no, there's something there for us too. It's good to know.
No, that's actually, you know, and that's kind of how I operate as a theater person anyway, is I really believe the most impactful theater is one that you can see with your family in totality, and that it doesn't feel, because I've been, you know, to those shows with like my little sister when she was younger and things like that, where you're just like, I'm going to pull my hair out if I have to listen to this Farmer in the Dell one more time, you know, and there's value to that. Of course there is. But I think we wanted this to be a great first theater experience for kids if this is their first experience, but it's written, you know, as a Fraggle fan, you know, it's written in that same vein where it really is what the show has always done best, which is it's something for everybody. And so, you know, you definitely won't feel out of place seeing the show, you know, as someone without kids. It's the opposite. I think you'll feel very much like the show is your opportunity to, you know, sit in that world of Fraggle magic and take something out of it. And your 4-year-old, 5-year-old little sister, little brother, niece, cousin, whoever will love it too, because, you know, it's engaging and it's interactive and, you know, it's so musical. So, yeah, I kind of, you know, I like to think that it's a show that if I went as a Fraggle fan at my age today, I would love, but also, you know, the 6, 7-year-old who found the show as a kid would have lost his mind at the same time seeing it. So that's what we've been going for.
Fantastic. One thing that I'm really excited about is the merch table. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of merchandise we're going to see at the show?
Yeah, we have some unique things. I'm not sure if I can give specifics yet, but sure. We have a really beautiful souvenir program that's got all sorts of fun Fraggle stuff in there and information and behind the scenes stuff. We've got buttons, we've got magnets, we've got beautiful drawstring bags. The plush will be there. We've got books. We've got awesome light up kind of Fraggly microphones. There's a lot of really fun, unique things that are branded to the live show and feature. Oh, we have postcards of the characters, and on the back you can actually address it to Uncle Matt if you want. So
Great.
there's a lot of really fun We wanted it to really feel like that experience also goes out there. Plus, we have the opportunity to meet the Fraggles after the show as part of the VIP meet and greet. So you get some really fun one-on-one Fraggle time and a special picture with a backdrop and everything. So, we really wanted this to be like, if you're a Fraggle fan, you get to really immerse yourself in the whole thing.
Fantastic. What do you see as the next phase of the show after it's done? Maybe Broadway? You got a little experience with that
Oh
yourself.
my God. Can you imagine? I mean, I think what's been so exciting is like, we're going out for these initial first months, and then, our hope and our goal is to continue it on and keep taking the show out. And I think the love that it's gotten from theaters and venues across the country and places we can't say yet, but we were like thrilled to hear that they were so excited at the possibility of welcoming the Fraggles there. It just kind of, it's what we all know about the show, which is that it's this rare thing where it's like, multiple generations have grown up with it and have this like soft spot in their hearts for it. And, I think it shows not only how important the show is still, but also that like how much the world needs it, especially in this live way. Like we all want to escape this crazy world we live in right now for a couple of hours and go sit in the world of Fraggle Rock. So, to answer your question, I think that it may pop up in unexpected places that could be very exciting. We'll just say that.
That's a good tease. Good tease. Well, John, I'm so grateful that you are expanding the world of Fraggle Rock beyond just the show. Can you tease anything else that might be coming up in the world of Fraggles beyond just the show?
I mean, you know what I'm going to say to you, Joe, which is I can't tell you much. But
Well, I gotta
will
ask.
say that... Oh, I knew you would. No, I'll just say that there's a lot of really exciting things that are happening as we speak. A lot of it, has not been talked about yet, but it will be. I have Nicole sitting next to me, so I'm being very careful what I say. But honestly, like I think there's that great line that Red says in I think the second episode of Back to the Rock, where she's like, "What a time to be a Fraggle," and I kind of feel as a lifelong fan, I do feel like that's true. I feel like there's so much passion at the company to make these characters and make this world continue on in different ways, and there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. So I'll just say that yes, there are some surprises coming very soon that I think everyone's gonna be very happy about. In fact, I'll say this. When you come to the live show, there's an Easter egg that kind of gives away something that's coming, and that's all I can say.
Okay.
So you should come as a Fraggle fan and come to the live show.
Great. All right.
That's all I can say.
Then everyone who's listening to this, go to fragglerocklive.com and see when the show is coming near you. It's going to be running across the country and across Canada from January through May. And hopefully it's coming near you. I know I'll be seeing it pretty soon. I'm really excited to see what you guys have in store for us.
Yeah, and you know what? I think my feeling is like, let's make the Fraggle fans thing like Taylor Swift fans, like where everyone had like the friendship bracelets. Like, let's do like Fraggle Rock Live meetups and everyone go out to Fraggle Rock dinners together. Like, we want to see, and I want to see that stuff. Like, post it. We want to see like what the fans are doing to celebrate it.
Yes. Oh, that's such a great idea. Well, John, thank you again so much for taking the time to talk about Fraggle Rock Live with us. I'm really excited about the show. I think it's going to be fun. I can't wait to see what you guys have in store for us.
Thank you. And I just want to give one quick shout out to all the amazing performers that are working on the show. They're working their tails off, no pun intended, or maybe a pun intended. And they care so desperately about these characters and bringing them to life. So just a big shout out to all of them, because they're the most amazing company we could ever ask for.
Fraggle Talk, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast, is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Produced, written, and hosted by Joe Hennis. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company, all rights reserved. Transcripts provided by Caitlin Miller. Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company, Apple TV Plus, and the entire Fraggle Rock Back to the Rock family. Be sure to follow Tough Pigs at Tough Pigs on all social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and please consider supporting us on Patreon or by buying merchandise on TeePublic. For more Fraggle podcast fun, listen to Fraggle Talk Classic on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time down at Fraggle Talk.